in light of the time, I want to make sure that we give our discussion panel members sufficient time. It's already tight as it is. But first of all, I hope you all found that informative and interesting. Give a thumbs up if you liked the film. Good, yay. We know some people had connectivity issues, and if you did and you weren't able to view the entire film, email me or Amy and we will make arrangements for you to be able to view the film at your convenience, hopefully in the next couple of days. So, so now we're going to spend some time. The film talks about the challenges that are faced across the country. The challenges of affordable, high quality childcare being accessible to the people who need it is a challenge across the country. And I think the film does a great job of laying that out from the various perspectives and explaining what's at issue and what's at cost here. We are fortunate to have with us this evening some local experts who are going to help us understand the issues here in Door County a little bit better. And we have 5 people on our panel, and I will introduce them in a second. I just want to let you know that in the interest of time, we're going to ask them each to provide some brief comments. And we're not going to take Q&A this evening from the audience, but we're going to have the opportunity for more discussion in the future. We're going to have some meetings that the public will be invited to, some Zoom meetings, and I'll tell you more about that at the end. But so right now, let me go ahead and introduce you to our panel. We've got Cindy Trinkner-Piot. She is the Executive Director of Northern Door Children's Center. Val Baudry with the Door County Health and Human Services, who's joining us on the phone, so you won't be able to see her face. Ann Schmakel, the principal at Sunset Elementary in Sturgeon Bay. Sky Reynolds, the coordinator of employee support and development at Door County Medical Center. And Kelsey Fox, director of communications and workforce development at Door County Economic Development. And I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Let's go ahead and start by hearing from Cindy. Oh, and just also so you guys know, since people were losing connection, we went ahead and we are recording this, just so you know. Take it, Cindy. Did I lose Cindy?
I think we lost her. Her face froze as you introduced her, so I think we lost her.
We can come back to her. I'll watch for her to log back in. Val, are you ready on the phone? Can you chime in? If you're talking, Val, we can't hear you.
I'm wondering if she's actually on the phone, because I think it would show up as a phone number and not her name. So I don't know. If she wasn't going to be able to make it, she was going to send me her comments, but I haven't received anything.
Well, let's start with Ann.
Sorry.
Is Ann still here? Did we lose Ann too? We're losing all our panel members.
All right, well, Sky, I think you're first.
Sky, tell us about the
I
business point of view.
just gonna shut off my video. So I work at Door County Medical Center. I'd say personally the most, I guess, shocking information is just all the statistics that were shared in the video. I guess as a large employer in Door County, childcare definitely does have an impact on our employees. And it impacts our ability to recruit potential candidates, because childcare is an important thing, especially during the summer. Spring and summer, we've noted that, you know, it's really important to have daycare in place before you're able to come to work at a job. So parents are having to make choices between, you know, somebody not working or working just to pay for childcare, similar to some of the choices I had to make, I know, when my kids were younger and in daycare as well. There have been a small number of employees at the hospital that have ended employment. Sometimes people will be here for a period of time, and then they'll decide it's time to start having kids. And, you know, some of those I think are that maybe it didn't work out for them to come back. We're not really sure if it had anything to do with childcare, but I know that is a difficult decision, and the work-life balance is the constant struggle for all of our parents. Definitely during COVID, the pandemic has elevated anxieties amongst our parents that are here, and we do have couples that work here, which makes it increasingly difficult, especially now with school kind of, I know the schools are doing a wonderful job and doing the best they can given what we have. And I see Anne smiling. Kudos to all of you, but it does make it more difficult because there's, you know, our quarantine that we have, and we have certain rules that are different than school rules. So that definitely has a big impact on things. I think
Thanks
I still have.
we're doing a good job. I'm not sure I feel that way, but we're trying.
So I just wanted you all to know that in spring we had done a temperature check, we call it, which is a smaller version of our culture survey. And we added questions about daycare so that we could contribute to what United Way had started when we had the committee meetings in spring. So we definitely brought information on our peeps there. We set up Google Documents so that employees could network and hopefully find available high school students and college-age students that were available to help. It grew into a Facebook page that was a daycare Facebook page, so we could have providers be listed on that as well as other people. So I guess fast forward today, we are in a much better place now that we do have another childcare option in the community. And wow, everybody coming together to make that happen was really amazing. So I am reminded what a blessing it is to live in Sturgeon Bay, and that we have this great, seeing all your faces on the screen really warms my heart that there's that many people that really care that much about our youth and the parents and are there to support them. So thank you.
Thank you, Sky. So that gave us a little bit of information on a specific employer. Kelsey, can you give us some information on the impact of childcare, the access to childcare for the county as a whole from the business perspective?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks, Christina. My name is Kelsey Fox. I am the Director of Communications and Workforce Development at Door County Economic Development Corporation. So first off, I just wanted to thank you, Christina, and thanks United Way for inviting me to speak on the panel. I think this is an incredibly critical topic that we need to face as a community. So this is a great first step to do that. So, and thanks to all you guys, all of the community members who logged on, and similar to Sky's comments, we need you guys, we need the community to step up and start making a difference in all of this. So this is a great first step to do that. So I just want to make a few kind of comments on DCEDC's commitment to childcare in the county. So by laying the crucial groundwork for tomorrow's workforce and supporting a strong workforce today, high quality childcare provides a powerful two-generational approach to building the human capital that a prosperous and sustainable county depend on. It supports parents by increasing the completion of post-secondary education, raising labor force participation, increasing workforce productivity, and helping businesses attract and retain talent, which is really, I think, my key kind of focus, being in a workforce development position. So that business attraction and talent retention is really kind of a critical piece here. It also boosts our economy. It enables parents to work while simultaneously providing jobs, an often scarce opportunity for entrepreneurship and small business owners in the childcare industry in itself. It also ensures that our children have the chance to develop well and begin kindergarten ready to thrive in school, work, and life. And I think that the documentary we just watched did a really good job in showcasing that. And I was really impressed by the video. So again, thanks United Way for bringing that to our county. It was a really kind of eye-opening experience to watch and get that firsthand perspective on, kind of the struggles that parents deal with. So it was a really well done video. So just to kind of wrap things up from our perspective, so for Door County businesses, advancing high quality childcare is an absolutely critical step towards creating a sustainable future economy. For all of us, it's a really wise investment in our future. It strengthens our businesses today while building the workforce we'll depend on tomorrow and for decades to come. I mean, this is kind of a piece of a little bit of a domino effect that if we start today, it's going to have an effect on the future for sure. So going forward, we need to look at solutions to childcare with an innovative approach. We need to explore paths and solutions that we haven't explored. Solving the childcare solution in our county isn't someone else's problem, it's everybody's problem. And the future of our children are depending on it. So it's critical that we take this first step and continue to move forward and hopefully find those innovative solutions. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. So yeah, I think what Sky and Kelsey have both said is that we're thankful for the childcare that we do have available, and we have great centers and some great home-based providers, but we still have gaps in accessibility to high quality, affordable childcare across the entire county. So even though we made some progress during our little crisis situation over the past several months, we still have work to do, and they're helping us understand that. So while we've got her back, we're going to circle back around to Cindy, and then hopefully, Anne, you will also be able to stay connected, and we'll go to you after Cindy. So Cindy, tell us what struck you about the film.
Well, as I thought about the film, and I watched it a couple of times, I was reminded of what we in the early childhood field call the trilemma of childcare. And that is a triangle that has at each of the 3 points a goal of an early childhood program. And those goals are high quality, which of course they spoke about in the film, compensation for early childhood educators, which they also spoke about in the film, and thirdly, and you just referenced that, Kelsey, was affordability for families, affordability and accessibility. All 3 of those goals compete against each other, and that's the big problem with early childhood education. I'm going to talk fast because I'm not sure how long my connectivity is going to go here. It was like all of a sudden, boom, gone. But interestingly enough, the film starts out with families talking about looking for childcare and how that's both an emotional stressor and a financial stressor. So affordability is so important for families, and we do have some things in place here in the county to help with some of those. The last time we viewed this film last week, Val spoke all about the Wisconsin Shares program, which of course is very helpful for some families. We at Northern Door Children's Center have a scholarship program that is because we partner with the United Way, available to our families to help with the cost of care. Of course, some people are lucky enough to have an employer who has a dependent care account for them, and they're able to pay for childcare in pre-tax dollars. There are a lot of things that have been tried for affordability. There need to be more, because even with all of those things, there are many people who either don't qualify for them or it's not enough to make a difference. The film talks about how the cost of childcare can be the same as the cost of college. Those of us who are having children in college now, sending children through college, know how incredibly stressful that financial burden is, and we have had a lifetime to save for that. These people have new children and have had no time to save for that kind of a burden. So it's a really, really big issue. Then we go back to quality. Of course, the number one thing that's going to help with quality and bring high quality childcare to the field is educated and experienced teachers. They're the number, it's all about the people. There are other things you need to, of course, you need a safe, nurturing environment, but it's really the education of the people who are caring for children that matter. And in order to get those people and to get that high quality, you have to have good compensation. And we don't across the field. You heard the teacher in the yellow room say, I've already stayed here 2 years longer than I should. I can remember personally having those feelings, and I hear many, many of my employees say it to me. When those words, could I speak to you in your office later, come out of someone's mouth, it like strikes the fear of God in me, because I know that means I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else where I can make more money, where I can buy a house, where I can have a baby, where I can get married. All of those goals that people have for themselves personally, they're being held back by a very low wage. So those three things all compete with each other. It's quality, affordability, and compensation. When you go for one, it injures the other. And that's this trilemma that we're living with. And I agree with what was said earlier, that there are solutions. We just need to really sit down and think about what they are. They're not going to be, it's not going to be one answer. It's going to be putting together lots of different pieces. And in this community, we're very good at that. We're very good at taking small little building blocks and putting it together and making it into something that works. And I lasted the whole time.
Thank you, Cindy. So Anne, do you want to pick up on that? I don't know if you necessarily would talk about the affordability issue, but the linking up from what kids experience in the early child care and education settings and what you see then when they come into the elementary school.
For sure. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Cindy said. The importance of that early childhood care cannot be emphasized enough. The quote from the film that struck me the most is, early childhood care is not babysitting, it's brain building. And Cindy and her staff and the things that they do in sites like hers are living proof of that. And, you know, for our parents who want that for their children, it's a real challenge because of a lack in the community. The things that we see in the school setting relate back to some of the information about executive function skills, children's ability to sit, to listen, to pay attention, to follow directions, and to regulate their emotions. The regulation and self-regulation of emotions is the most critical thing that we're seeing in the schools right now. We're getting youngsters in school who have experienced trauma. They've experienced a chaotic upbringing because their parents are shuffling 3 different jobs. The woman who talked about how she had to work, but she couldn't afford daycare, and she was farming her children out to a different family every night. Can't even imagine how chaotic that is for a child as far as their early development. Vocabulary. The limits in vocabulary and the disparity in vocabulary for some of our kids entering school, the importance of the early being read to and talked to. Interestingly, after I watched the other night, I thought about the fact that we've actually had a pretty calm beginning to this school year, if you take COVID out of the picture, partly because we started in a transition and only brought half the kids back at a time. But I really wonder if having 6 months where parents were forced to be home really made a difference, and families were able to spend time together and kids had the attention of their parents. It's not a hypothesis I can prove, but it really made me think. Like I said, the vocabulary is huge, self-regulation is huge. One of the things we've had to work on very hard at school is professional development for our teachers to help them understand kids who are coming from poverty and kids who are coming from trauma. It's a very different world in school than it used to be. The number of students that we have that struggle, we have kids who kick and hit and swear and run because they can't cope with their emotions. They don't know how to problem solve. They don't know how to work through a problem. Their first reaction is either fight or flight. It's created huge issues in school. And most alarming is the disparity. there's such a wide range as kids enter. And now we have the luxury of having 4K. So we're getting them at 4 instead of at 5. So it gets us a head start. But the difference that can happen between a child who's had a very challenging upbringing to age 4 and a child who's coming from a 2-parent home with educated parents who talk to their children and read to their children and spend time with their children. Parents are doing the very best they can. I always tell my teachers, they're sending their best kids to you. They don't have better kids hiding home in the closet. They really want their kids to be successful. They really are trying hard. They love their kids. But the opportunity to provide high quality childcare is not there for many of them. And it is definitely showing up in school. And when we see an opportunity gap and an education gap already at age 4, it's really hard to overcome that. So that's,
Thank you, Ann.
that,
Yeah, I
those
think,
are challenges in school.
Yeah, understanding the connections between everything and how it all works emphasizes how we have to be mindful of the system when we address the issues, because if you fix something out here and you don't pay attention to what's over here, the next thing that links up, you can just miss the connection and you missed your opportunity there. So Corey, I hate to put you on the spot, but I can tell you that last time Val talked a little bit about Wisconsin Shares, and you could do that. Or another thing that you might touch on if you feel comfortable, the film focuses on the group centers, and you walk away thinking most high quality childcare occurs in these group settings. But we have a lot of home-based childcare in Door County, and I know that you don't know the details of what goes on and all those things, but maybe you could either talk about Wisconsin Shares, or if you're a family considering home-based care, what are questions you might ask of the provider when you're making that decision?
Sure, and I think that we might have at least one home-based provider on the screen if they want to chime in, but
Awesome.
Val clearly knows the ins and outs of the Wisconsin Shares in greater detail than I do, but the County Department of Health and Human Services does administer the child care subsidy program for the state of Wisconsin. Our numbers have been dropping in recent years, and I don't think that's because there's less need. I think it's because there's less available childcare resources for people to use that they find affordable even with the subsidy, because they still have to pay for a portion of it. So we believe that there's a lot of unregulated care most likely going on in the county, and not to say that that's all poor quality, but certainly you are more assured of quality when you have regulated care, whether that's in-home or in a center-based setting. Our county contracts with Brown County to certify in-home childcare providers. So I know that Val had lots of information from our certifier that she was going to share as well, and unfortunately I didn't get that. But I think there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what it takes to be a certified provider or a licensed in-home provider. So if anybody knows of anybody that might even be open to the possibility of providing childcare, I would encourage you to connect them with our department, and we can connect them with our certifier and other resources to just answer some of the questions that they might have about what it takes to provide childcare and to be able to accept Wisconsin Shares. And also, if you know of any families that need assistance paying for childcare, I would encourage them to reach out and to see what the eligibility requirements are for Wisconsin Shares. We would like to see a lot more families take advantage of that subsidy, just to help defray some of the costs. You know, some of the things that struck me in the film beyond that is just what in human services, we provide a lot of other services in terms of investigating child abuse and neglect reports, providing lots of mental health services. So we see kind of on the deep end what some of the ramifications are of not having quality care and education for young children. So I just can't emphasize enough what an incredible investment that would be, and how much cost savings we could have for taxpayers on the other end if we could redirect some of our resources to care for the youngest children. So we're really happy. We have a number of staff that are participating in the task force to look at solutions for our childcare gaps within the county. We're also happy that we have more resources than we did a couple months ago, but there are lots of people that just can't access those resources. So we need to look for more systemic answers. I was really struck by just, you know, we're hearing a lot about social justice and equity right now, and providing for quality childcare and education is really a huge social justice issue and really helps to level the playing field, as the film outlined. So I think now is really a time to be focusing on this more than ever. I was encouraged by the statistics showing how many voters are supportive of this type of investment. So I hope that we can kind of maximize this opportunity right now and just look for ways to improve the services for our communities.
Thank you. Yes, so thank you to all of the panel members for sharing their thoughts with us. Thank all of you for joining us. You can see how these are just like the beginnings of conversations that should continue, and there's a great benefit to continuing these conversations. Corey mentioned the task force. We have a child care community task force, and if you are not already involved and you'd like to be involved addressing the issues in our county, you can contact me or Amy, and we'll get you on the list, and we'll talk to you about what work you might be interested in doing. We're also going to continue these conversations through town hall meetings, Zoom meetings that will be held, and that would be an opportunity for Val to come back and share the information that she had about the certification process, and people could learn about that. And could talk more about what goes on in the schools. We can talk about the linkage between the early child care and education and the schools. And we have workforce issues to address. So there's lots of things to take a deeper dive into. And we know that we don't have all the answers. We know it does take all of us, like Kelsey said. And so we welcome people's involvement either on the task force, just participation in ongoing conversations with these town hall meetings, email, whatever you can do. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to get you involved. So I just want to leave it there, and thank you all for joining us. You can just sign off if you want. I think Amy and I will stay logged on for a few minutes yet if anybody wants to hang back and talk about something in particular. But otherwise, thank you all very much for joining us. We hope to hear from you.
Thank you.